to part 2 of the underwriting training. So the first screen in the underwriting department is the worksheet, and this corresponds to the worksheet 1008 document. So here on the first tab for your borrowers, you'll see a list of all of your borrowers and then a snapshot of their credit information. The next tab is for your property information. The next tab is for your mortgage information, and this is where you would enter things like any other liens or non-concurrent liens on the property, and maybe HELOCs, so we can calculate your LTV, your CLTV, and your HLTV correctly. We also have a field that I want to point out, which is the qualifying rate. So if the qualifying rate is different from the interest rate, this is where you would enter it. Now there is a tab for your ratios, which is a really neat screen because if you have multiple borrowers, each of them will be listed here in the grid. Now if you want to see what the loan is going to look like if you removed a borrower, you can just uncheck the box next to their name, and the calculations down here will be recalculated not using that borrower. So in this example, we only have one borrower, but you can clearly see that if we had multiple, you can see kind of what this loan is going to look like if you remove a borrower from the loan. And the next tab is obviously going to show you your proposed payment. And then, of course, we have your underwriting notes. Now, these are the notes that are actually going to populate down at the bottom of your 1008. Now, you can add notes just by going up to Actions and clicking on Insert New Note. We're going to record who created the note, the date that it was made, and then, of course, whatever that note happens to be. Now, the next screen is for your decision. Now, this is where you'll want to make sure that you enter in the date that the file was received in underwriting. You want to select who the underwriter is and, of course, select your investor from the support table. Now, if you do have to withdraw this loan or cancel it, this is where you would enter it in those key dates. Now, let's quickly talk about automated underwriting. So let's go to our AUS Info tab. So if you're going to use automated underwriting, you can document it here using the date, the system, the decision, when it expires, and of course the AUS number. Now you can actually export a Fannie Mae file. You go up to Export, click on Fannie Mae 3.2 Export, click Select. So if you want to import a Fannie Mae file into your AUS system, it's really this easy. Here you'll see that we have a message that shows you exactly where this file is being stored. So you can generate that Fannie Mae file and then just upload it to whatever AUS system that you're using. Now let's take a look at how do we actually approve a loan. So if we go to our Conditions tab, I can enter in my approval date, select my approval type from the list, and now I need to add some conditions. So if I go up to Actions, there are 3 different ways that I can actually get conditions onto this loan. I can manually insert the condition. I can choose I can choose conditions from a list, or I can apply a condition schedule, which is basically a predetermined group of conditions that can be applied to the loan. Now, most of our clients will use a batch insert conditions. So all they have to do is just check the box next to the conditions that they want to add and click Select. So now we've just added all of these conditions to the loan. Now you'll notice that they do show up in red. Once they're signed off, they'll show up in black. So let's just go ahead and double click on one of these. We'll enter in the date that it was received and the date that it was cleared. So when we click Close, it's going to change it to black and move it to the bottom of the list. So then we can easily see which conditions have been signed off and which ones are still outstanding. Now in order to generate a loan approval, we'll go ahead and save first. And you'll notice that we didn't get any business rules, which is great. We're going to go to our reports and scroll down to your loan approval. Now there are 2 versions. One's for retail and the other is for wholesale. Let's take a look at the retail version. Now you'll notice that I can print these out, I can preview it on my screen, I can email it, and I can even send it to Image Center. So if you're using Image Center, this is great because all you have to do is click Image Center and it sends a copy directly into it. Now, if you're also using WebLender, you can set it up to where your broker or loan rep can actually see a copy of this loan approval as well. So let's just go ahead and preview it on the screen. So here you'll see that we have the borrower's information at the top, and then your loan information followed by the conditions. Now you'll notice that we do enter in the date and the initials of the person who signed off any conditions. So you can quickly see which conditions are still outstanding and which ones have been signed off. Now if you do have to suspend a loan, we do have a tab for that. You can enter in the date that the loan was suspended, and then of course enter in any suspense reasons by going up to Actions and inserting a reason. The Denial tab works the same way. We also have a tab for Quality Assurance where you can enter in the date that the file was reviewed, and you can enter in any additional information here. We do have an approval history, so if this loan is having to be reworked several times, you can take a snapshot by going up to Actions, click on Insert Approval History. It's going to take a snapshot of all the key dates and some key information, so you can see if there have been changes been made to this loan. You can see how it's been approved and how it's kind of evolved. So let's take a look at the next screen, which is your taxes and insurance. So of course, this is where you're going to enter in all of this information for taxes and insurance, mortgage insurance, hazard insurance. And it's really important that it does get entered because it is going to flow down into your closing department. So when the closer is trying to calculate the impound account, they're going to need to have all of this information. Now the next screen is for reviewing and organizing your appraisals. Now we do allow you to track up to 3 appraisals. So you may have your original appraisal and something may happen on the loan where you need to get an additional appraisal. You can keep track of those as well. So you will want to choose your appraisal company from the support table. Click Select. And then enter in all of the key information, all the key dates. So again, you can choose track your original appraisal, second, or even third. And there is a tab for any notes. So if there's a note that you need to add, maybe a reason why you had to get a second appraisal, you can enter that in here. So that concludes part 2 of the